Hi, my name is Molly, and welcome back to the ProSource podcast. Today's topic is focusing all on showers and bathtubs. We have two incredible guests on today to share their knowledge about this important part of the bathroom. First, we are welcoming on Andres Renteria. He is also one of our Trade Pro members from the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area in Texas. Then, later in the episode, we welcome back on Nicole Krol. She is Fleurco's Vice President of Sales. Let's go ahead and kick this episode off with Andres. Today, we are exploring showers and bathtubs. We also have on one of our Trade Pro experts, Andres Renteria. He is the owner of Improved Floors and Design. Improved Floors and Designs handles all things flooring, including luxury plank, carpet, vinyl, tile, wood, along with shower and kitchen ceramic tile for single family, multifamily, and commercial entities. So, Andres, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Molly. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. And if you don't mind, just explaining a little bit more about what Improved Floors and Design does and a little bit about your role and what you do day to day.
Great, yeah. So we focus on floors primarily and restroom remodels along with kitchen backsplashes. So we're not a full-on GC, right? One of our sister companies actually is a GC, and we've been in the business. All of our installers, along with one of the co-owners, has been in the business around 33 years. But
Wow.
our company has been in existence since last year, so 2023, and we work with residential, like you said, multifamily, and commercial projects.
Cool. What made you want to start up your own business?
Believe it or not, most people don't. I'm actually a CPA in the state of Texas, so I've been in accounting and finance the past 10 years. But my father's been in the industry 33 years, and that was really the plan all along. I would go into school, into the corporate world, learn the business side, and then start a company. So we were actually going to start it in 2020, but you know how that goes. So then it got pushed 3 years later.
That definitely pushed a lot of timelines back. COVID
Right,
did. So
yeah.
understandable. So yeah, today we're talking all about showers and bathtubs specifically. And when it comes to showers and tubs, how do you stay on trend with the current latest trends?
Quite a few things, right? We attend industry shows, trade shows, mainly locally here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but we try to go out at least once a year to a national one. And then on top of that, we attend, for example, events that, let's say, ProSource is hosting, right? We meet other people there as well, other companies, other installers. You know, we come from the mindset of there's plenty of work for everybody, right? So I pick brains of other owners or other people that do the same thing that I do. So we network through that. And then, you know, whether you're a proponent of it or not, social media, right? Like it's in my humble opinion, is here to stay along with AI. So, you know, a lot of
Yeah.
stuff comes out of there, you know, and so we follow, for example, a couple of European accounts, and you know, a lot of times, you know, trends or new styles and techniques come out there maybe sometimes sooner than here, or vice versa, right? But being on top of both of them, you know, that helps us out a lot.
Yeah. And I think going back to your social media comment, a lot of companies will just post and like leave, right? Like they'll
Right.
post their content and leave. But like you said, it's important to actually digest like what other companies are doing to make sure you're staying up with the latest trends and just being like involved in it rather than just like showing up, posting whatever you want to post and dipping out of
Right.
there. So when homeowners are thinking about remodeling their shower or their bathtub, what are common situations that you think lead them to that decision?
Typically there's around 3 to 4, right? One is
Hmm.
functionality, right? They, you know, just a perfect example. We're doing a daycare, an in-home daycare remodel, right? They're going from newborns to 2-year-olds to 3-year-olds, which require potty training. So we have to redo the functionality of their restroom, right? Like, you know, put a smaller toilet, put a different type of tub, etc. Then it's, you know, aesthetically pleasing, right? Like families want the wow factor. Maybe their kids are out of the home right now. They want a nice walk-in shower. Their kids are older, or you know, we're doing a home where they're selling their home, right? So they just want kind of like a makeover of their restroom versus a full-on remodel. But then for the new home, prior to moving in, they want a full-on remodel. They want the wow factor, you know, everybody likes compliments, right? So that's more of a, okay, we want this exactly like that, etc. It's a variety of those items, those things, I would say.
Life transitions.
Mhm.
Would you say that you work with homeowners or like business owners more so? Or is it about 50-50?
It's about 50-50 because our portfolio mix is a lot, you know, for like example, commercial, right? That's business owners or GCs that
Mm-hmm.
want your typical, you know, 4 foot high restroom, et cetera, right? And on the residential side, though, that's where we do work more with homeowners, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
want your typical, 4 foot high restroom, et cetera, right? And on the residential side, though, that's where we do work more with homeowners, right? And honestly, I enjoy that a lot more because you change the space and you actually see like the glow in the resident, like, oh my god, this is amazing. Versus a commercial job is more of a just this is what needs to be done. These are the specs. The last one was this way. Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. I could see why maybe home working with homeowners feels a little bit more like touching, right? Rather
Yeah,
than like businesses, it's like we just got to get the job done and keep going.
exactly. And it's up to everybody's motto, right? Some people don't like that, right? Because then it's, hey, actually, I changed my mind on this. I want this type of design now, right? And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Like, let's see if that fits. Let's see if it works, right? But we enjoy that. I enjoy more the residential side than the commercial side. My partner probably enjoys the commercial side better than the residential. So it's a good mix.
Yeah, it's a good balance between the both of you. So, going to homeowners specifically, from your experience, what are they looking for in a new shower or a bathtub?
I would say functionality, right? So we have two types of clients, right? We have the clients they're looking more for that wow factor, which does include functionality as well, right? But it's also they're looking for either a modern look, right, or what's trending, right? But then there is like, for example, our latest home, right? The couple's older, right? They want something more functional that works for them, more slip resistant materials, things of that nature, right? So that those are really the two things that they're looking for, and then on top of that, right? Like it's rare sometimes, like for example, this in-home daycare, right? They have to be meeting like the date, not only like plumbing code, city code, but they need to be meeting like the daycare requirement code. Those are more
Yeah.
rare though, right? So I would say
Yeah.
that those are probably the two main things that homeowners that we work with are looking for, right? And then the fourth one would be, increasing the value of their home, right? So if they're selling their home,
Yeah.
right, those a lot of the times, at least on our end, are more of a makeover versus a full on remodel, right?
Yeah.
Get it ready for sale, right? So that's probably the mixture of what
Yeah.
we see.
And so, what are the first steps that you take when you're taking on a shower or a bathtub remodel?
Once we get contacted by a resident, right, we go out and look at the space, right? So we're big on, I know the virtual world, especially during COVID and all that, it became bigger, right? But when it comes to a remodel, in our opinion, right, we have to physically see the space and talk to the owner, right, and see what they're envisioning and see if it works, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of times it's I like I like to joke, like, my barber says this all the time. A client shows up with this like curly hair dude that, and the client's hair is straight, and it's like
Yeah.
that doesn't work for you. So,
Yeah.
as much as we like to take care of our clients, right, sometimes that probably won't work in this space, right? But so the first thing is
Mhm.
we meet with them, we get what they envision, then we measure the space, right? We go over what they're looking to do with the space, right? Not just, what they envision, what's it for, who's it for, are they selling the home, are they going to be there forever, are they buying a home, etc. And then after we get a good plan going, right, like if they want to move fixtures around like a toilet or that, then I have to, go over like, hey, that's going to involve more than likely plumbing, right? We work with the master plumber, so then all that's inclusive in our estimate, right? And once we have a game plan, then is when I work with people like ProSource, right? And I'm like, hey, well, I have my rep here at ProSource that you can go and pick whatever materials you like. They'll give you some other ideas as well. I mean, we have someone on our team that helps with that too, but they always end up helping us because whether we go with them the first time or the second time, I trust them whenever they go on their own, right? Like, hey, I had a change of plans, that my rep there will take care of that. And then they offer a big variety of selections, right? That's why we work with them.
Yeah, it definitely helps to make you like flexible, right? Like you just
Right.
mentioned, if you're not available to go with them to the showroom, there's
Mhm.
your account manager at the showroom that can help them through that decision making process.
Right, and it's somebody we trust, right? Like they technically
Yeah,
don't work with us for us, but we work together. Where I'm comfortable
yeah,
saying it that way.
that's awesome. And that's exactly what I was going to ask for my next question was, how do you work with ProSource and that client with the product selection process? Has there ever been, I guess, any times that it's had to extend more than just, ProSource helping your client with the product selection process?
So we actually just ran into this last month. We started the project on Monday. It's a
Hmm.
new construction home. They tore down the old home and they're constructing a new home. And the client, she wanted, I think herringbone at the bottom, hexagon here, a 12 by 24 here. And I'm like, yeah, that all sounds great. But, when you put it together, I was trying to explain to her, like, it's probably going to clash a little bit,
Yeah.
and and then on top of that, right, once again, functionality comes into place, right? There's a curved wall in the back. So the 12
Okay.
by 24 tile they wanted, I was like, I can't make that curve. Like we would cut it, right? We would make it work, right? But you probably could use a smaller mosaic, probably design, etc. And that's kind of where ProSource comes in, right? I'm like, hey, I have this client, they're on their way over there, right? I give them all the information prior to them arriving, so they're prepped, and then they always help me. So, they gave me a call back, hey, Andres, actually she's gonna go with this, that. I'm like, great. Like like it's always
Yeah.
fun when they hear it from and they see it, right? Because they have models there as well, and they're like, oh, okay,
Yep.
that does actually make sense. And then
Yeah.
budget wise, right? Like I feel like a lot of times the residents don't have necessarily an idea of what a full remodel of a restroom or a kitchen entails, right? And they get
Yeah.
there, and then the good thing about ProSource, right? They have various options, right? So hey, maybe this is out of the budget that you had in mind, but here's something very similar that's a little more budget
Yeah.
friendly, right?
Absolutely. Those are great examples. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't understand really what they're getting themselves into until they do see the samples or like the 3D models of what
Hmm.
they're going to do. And then it clicks, oh, I can't put this big tile on a curved wall.
Right.
So measurements do play an important role in the new shower or tub that the homeowner select. Like you mentioned, you go in, you take measurements for the space. What are some common misconceptions about measuring for a new shower or a new tub that you might be able to clear up for any homeowners listening to this?
As cliche as that might sound, right? It's not as simple as, and I notice we do floors as well, right? It's not as simple as length times width, and okay, we're good to go, right? It's or there's that one size fits all, right? So like this bathtub doesn't necessarily fit in your space, right? Depending on what the client envisions, right? So if they want a rainfall shower head or whatever the case is, right? If the clearance isn't high enough, right? It's like, hey, we might have to demo some wall here, especially if it's like an older home and they have the
Yeah.
older type of layout. Like you said, that might uncover some other issues, right? That they're not aware of, that they don't know it is entails in a whole remodel, right? So a lot of times I just have to walk them through, like, hey, it's not as simple as like one size fits all, right? Every house is unique, right? And then here are the options, right? And if it doesn't work or you want something else, right? Well, here's the extended cost that might bring along to the project.
Yeah, I feel like just being very open and upfront about how much everything is going to cost is the best
Right.
solution to this. That way, there's no surprises, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, anything revolving plumbing is going to be approached a bit more mindfully. How do you handle that, especially with clients that may want to move the shower or tub around the room?
We work with the master plumber, right? That's on our
Okay.
team that helps us out with when it comes to restaurant remodels and even kitchens, right? Because a lot of times, right, it's not a simple, hey, I'm gonna move the shower from the right side to the middle or the left side, and it's just plug and play, right? And
Yeah.
then 9 times out of 10, when you budget for a project or a remodel of any sorts, there's hidden issues that come up that we didn't know
Hmm.
about, right? So we try to be as conservative as possible with our estimates, right? Versus, a lump sum, we kind of break it out, right? And then from that, we're like, hey, on average, right, this is how much plumbing comes out if we're moving it to here, right? And on top of that, we can uncover leaks maybe, or you have older pipes that don't work with this layout, etc.
Yeah.
Right. So I just, like you said earlier, I just try to make them aware as possible, right? And if needed, we'll
Hmm.
send out our master plumber to kind of look at the area and kind of explain more of the plumbing issues, or just educate them a little bit more on what would it entail
Yeah.
plumbing wise to make that change.
Yeah, like you said, it's probably a good idea to factor in some of those costs that might show up.
Right.
That way, they're not scrambling at the last minute when they find out
Yeah.
that they need to redo their entire plumbing system or whatever it is.
I feel like it's always
uh,
easier for them to be like, oh, okay, we didn't have to incur that cost versus, hey, there's this additional cost, right? Now,
yes,
now we have to
that's
do it at the start of the project.
yeah, that's probably a way better like surprise is knowing you're not going to be spending as much money as you maybe initially thought.
Right. Right. That's always a positive.
Exactly. So, thinking about specifically the new waterproofing systems that are constantly being developed and improved, How have those technological advancements in shower and bathtubs, how have they led your clients to the decision of a remodel? Are
I
you
mean,
seeing that they go a little bit more towards the waterproofing advancements that are happening in showers and bathtubs?
we do, just because some of the newer stuff out, like for example, the Schluter waterproofing system. That's that
Yeah.
membrane that sticks to the wall or the floor, and it pretty much like welded onto there, and then it's nothing's 100%, but it's pretty moisture proof, right? And
Yeah.
when we explain that to them, right, it's like you're more than likely not gonna have mildew issues or leaks or anything that comes from the shower or the floor, right? I feel like our just a regular average resident probably isn't as educated on that, right? And then that's
Yeah.
one thing that we like to do at our company, right? It's, hey, Molly, this is what we offer. This is what this better system will do. It'll last longer. It's more durable than older systems. Not that the older system is not good, right? It's just technology has advanced, right? And then we let you
Mhm.
make the decision, right? At the end of the day, right? Once they find out all the benefits, they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go with it, right?
Yeah.
It's not seen, right? So a lot of times it's not like the sexy appeal, the because you don't
Yeah.
see it right once it's covered, right? But it's beneficial overall.
Yeah. Do you think that there's more people that invest in those waterproofing systems after the fact that they're having to maybe redo their floor because of the leaking? Or are you seeing them take precaution first? Because I know, like, thinking about my grandparents' bathroom, their flooring just had to get redone because there was a leak. So then their
Mhm.
flooring ended up being molded underneath. I'm thinking, like, maybe if they would have taken those precautions way back in the
Right.
day, but then it's like those weren't even available, maybe,
No,
you know?
no. It's hit or miss, right? Sometimes, right, if it's like a forever home or a remodel, for
Hmm.
sure, right? They're like, okay, we want the best, we want what's going to work the best, etc. A lot of times, right, we do older homes remodels, right, where they didn't necessarily have that decision. The restroom was already there, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, once you educate the consumer, your resident, right, it's a lot easier for them to not necessarily, I'm not going to say it's the right choice, but they're like, okay, well,
Yeah.
if I'm going to like what this outweighs, the cons outweigh maybe the price. So let's
Yeah.
go for it.
So, with all of these advancements and new styles for showers and bathtubs, how does budget factor into that selection process? And how do you balance someone's budget with the desired design vision?
Once we agree on both sides that this will fit your size, this works, etc., right? Then that's when someone like ProSource comes in on our side, right? Like, hey, maybe you want this Calcutta or whatever it is that you're looking at, right? But it kind of goes over your budget a little bit, right? Because on the labor side, it does vary, right? But it doesn't vary as drastically as a material can vary, right?
Yeah.
And then that's where our rep there, and hey, this is what you like. Here are like three more options, right? And they all look similar, right? Except this one's a little more budget friendly, etc. And maybe we keep the must haves, and then the other
Hmm.
items that are a little bit more give or take, right? They're open to changing. So that's kind of how we balance it there, right? We start off like, hey,
Okay.
what number do you have in mind? And then we work backwards from there.
So, then with showers, bathtubs, and the installation materials all in one place, how else that we haven't talked about already, how else does ProSource help make the job easier for you?
So, for example, the showroom, right?
Hmm.
For example, personally love Best Buy, and I feel like when I go into Best Buy, I'm like, man, I want that TV, I want this like washer and dryer, just so when you
Yeah.
walk into a Pro Source, at least the one that we work with, right? It's very
Hmm.
nice, and
Yeah.
and couples go in there, families go in there, right? And they have a lot of selections, right? And then a lot of times it'll cross sell. They're like, oh, you know what? I actually like this wood floor a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe we should look into that. And then
Yeah.
we can work something out with them, like, hey, we can do an all inclusive package for you. Maybe you'll get a discount or whatever the case is. So cross selling works, right? And then a lot of
Mhm.
times if for example, prior to having a plumber or something like that, ProSource always has references, right? So hey, I call my rep, like, do you know someone that you'd recommend, etc.
Mhm.
And then 9 times out of 10 they do, right? So it's great. I mean, they help out. They facilitated a lot for us, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. Seeing people come into the showroom sometimes can be they look a little bit overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
sometimes because there is so much product selection. But I think at the end of the day, it's better to have too much, right, than too little,
Right.
because then it gives them, it's just like their minds just open up to all the possibilities that they can do with their home remodel.
They get overwhelmed, but at the same time, they also see like, oh, I didn't know this existed, or I didn't know we could do this with the space, and so
Yeah.
I guess it's hit. But then sometimes, right, and I'll end it with this. Sometimes they get too many selections, and they're like,
Yeah.
change my mind. But overall, it's good, and it always helps.
Well, thank you so much for coming on today and talking all about showers and tubs. I know it's a very specific part of a home remodel, and I know
Mhm.
you guys do so much more than just showers and tubs, but I appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your expertise and just some of your insights about how you work with clients and then how that factors into also working with ProSource. So I appreciate it.
Well, happy to be here. Thank you, Molly.
All right. Well, we are back again with Nicole Krol. And I just want to say first, congratulations on your promotion to Vice President of Sales for Fleurco. That's very exciting.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Last time we spoke, what was your previous title?
So previously, I joined Fleurco as the Western Regional Sales Manager. So
Yes.
had that, and then was able to step up to the position, and
Yeah.
super excited. So that essentially means I get to work with every pro source across the country, across North America. So
Yes, that's super exciting. Yeah, last time we had you on was for episode 12, and we talked about the basics of bathroom remodels. And so this episode, surprise, surprise, we're talking about bathrooms again, but we're going to dive more into showers and bathtubs specifically. And so I am happy to have you back on again. Fleurco is the perfect fit, like I said, for these bathroom episodes that we do, and you did a great job last time. So we're excited to have you back on again to share your expertise on this subject.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. Love it.
So, showers and bathtubs do have such a functionality necessity within bathrooms. How does Florco balance that functionality within the demands of creative design, desired both from the product and within the style of the room?
So when you're designing a bathroom, one of the limiting, unfortunate factors would be your space, right? So,
Yeah,
we all want the glamorous bathrooms that we see on Architectural Digest and everything, but the reality is that's not everyone. So, the good news is that there's plenty of design to have something that does feel like an oasis in a smaller space. There's
yeah,
many products that have come out for that. But that is absolutely the first thing that you need to look at. So the singularities of space will determine where and how, like, the door opens and the
yeah,
shower door opens, or where the bathtub will be located, and how things will be accessed. Because, the worst type of setup is you have to crawl over your toilet to turn on your shower.
yeah,
so and that's where you need, it's the kind of stuff that maybe people don't think about.
no,
So that's definitely going to be the first piece is your space. The second group of factors to really look at is the relationship between the user and the product. So if you're 6'2" and you're getting a teeny tiny little tub, or your shower door, you have to duck underneath, or even your shower head for mounting purposes, that's the kind of stuff. So you definitely want to size the product from an ergonomic standpoint to maximize comfort and, of course, safety. Because again, you don't
yeah,
want to hit your head on those shower doors.
yes,
So,
yeah,
we also take into account the type of maintenance and the interaction with the product. And that goes beyond to, the precise moment of the bath. So looking at that. And then, lastly is the fun part, the creativity. So
hmm,
that's where, again, as I mentioned, there's so many products that fits the different space applications. And so that's when you get to, design what concept you'd like for your bathroom. So all of those points lead into basic, style of room decoration, but those are absolutely the three, design elements that you would need to take into consideration for the bathroom.
yeah. We've had a lot of trade pros come on and talk about the fact that, like, when it comes to budgeting and remodeling, like a bathroom or any space within the home, honestly. How the floor layout is really determines what you can do, because if you end up having to knock down like a wall, that can turn into a whole floor replacement project. So it's interesting to see how many people want to cross that line of, do we want to make this an entire floor remodeling project when we're redoing the bathroom, or do we want to make it easy and just accommodate to what's already like laid out for us and do the things we can without having to knock down a wall?
Absolutely. No, it can really, and it can get, pretty deep pretty quick, just from the
Yeah.
construction standpoint and from the budgetary standpoint. And,
Yes.
that's where, with the ProSource professionals there, that's somebody that can sit down and, the average homeowner might not have the consideration, or even some contractors, just stuff that, we look at every day,
Yeah.
and it's in the back of our minds at all times. But, the average person, they don't eat, sleep, breathe it like we do. So,
Exactly.
just bringing up those points. So,
So, from the design perspective, how have trends influenced the look of showers and bathtubs so far in 2024? What's new this year with shower doors, and what is new with shower accessories and organizational features are you seeing?
So during the last 15 years or so, there was kind of a revolution on shower door and bathtub design, with a new definition of what the whole bathroom experience means within our homes. So, again, I mentioned the word oasis, but truly over the past number of years, your bathroom is your refuge. You have your quiet place, your
Yeah.
bath, your beautiful body sprays and shower. So that has definitely been an evolution, rather than just, quite frankly, a toilet and a sink, and
Yeah.
and a tub. So it's more of an oasis that's opened up. It does tie into the needs of our modern lives. So
Hmm.
again, refuge, just a quiet spot. There's more resources invested by the homeowner and by manufacturers to make the space special. Emphasis on decoration prior just really didn't have bathroom in the center, and
Yeah.
think you're seeing it shift over the number of years. It's just a more important space in the home, and we've seen the decor trends introduced in bathroom design, everything from the minimalistic urban to industrial, and now, again, the spa oasis. So the very neutrals and brown tones, earth tones, and all of that. So from that perspective, a refuge in the home. The new year with shower doors. In 2024, there's endless products in the market for every category of shower doors. So, again, depending on the application, you can have pivot, sliding doors, shields, and the same can be said about bathtubs, where we find just a wide offer of
Yeah.
everything that you can imagine as far as a bathtub. But in the recent years, architects, interior designers, and leading companies in the field are really pushing to incorporate new colors and finishes. So, texture and color. In the market of bathtubs, shape is more simplistic. So, you can walk into any showroom and see, wow, that tub looks like that tub looks like that tub. It's all the
Yeah.
similar design and shape, but it's the color and texture of the product that becomes unique. So, matte finishes, gloss finishes, that type of offering on the tub, and then any color you can imagine. That's the bathtub side. The resource in the shower door field, starting to see early on introduction of the fluted glass and tinted films. The novelty and the shape really aren't changing or being, not really innovation, but it's the glass that's on it. So
Gotcha.
seeing more trends with that, it's just the result of new technologies and engineering materials that evolve, especially
Yeah.
on the fluted glass side, abilities to bring product to market that doesn't hold the soap scum and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. So, I mean, you still have to clean it, but
Yeah. Makes it a
just
little
the,
bit easier though.
yeah, just the
Yeah.
ease of actually having the product. At its function, mechanisms and forms aren't really the main focus. What we're seeing of innovation, design is always the ones pushing the manufacturers to create, but it's absolutely the texture
Yeah.
and finishes.
Are you seeing that most people are moving away from, I mean, of course, when it comes to like, I guess freestanding tubs is a little different, but I guess bathtubs that are pushed against a corner or against the wall, are you seeing people move away from like the shower like curtains and
Yeah,
moving
yes,
towards glass?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the back to wall tubs and all of that, still very popular. It's very much a regional type application. You could say the coasts are definitely more the freestanding tubs. The Northeast is smaller space constraints, so that that dictates what they can do there. Midwest and everything, the back to wall, and that's those tubs are nice options because then you get into your hardware, your faucets and your fixtures and everything. So you have different, whether you want it deck mount or off the wall. That's another little piece of design that allow that creativity in your bathroom.
Absolutely. Yeah, I noticed when I went to visit my friend in New York earlier this year, her little apartment in New York City, her bathroom was like so small. And just even the bathtub is like the whole space is just so different from like the Midwest where I'm at. Because
Yeah,
no, we're
yeah,
not saying that like we're all in huge mansions, but
yeah,
a
yeah,
normal
yeah,
person's house, even a small family's house, like their bathtub and bathroom area is going to be double the size from like
yeah.
a normal person living in New York City.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Well, and exactly what you're saying. And that's really, I mean, for Fleurco and tub manufacturers, other tub manufacturers, people in New York want an Oasis as well, or, with the smaller constraints. And so,
yeah,
so there are, it really has pushed, products to come out that just rough numbers on like a freestanding tub, 55 inches is small, but they go all the way up to 67, 68. So,
yeah,
so there's been, and actually we're seeing a lot more of the push to the smaller size because the people that have the room for both, they'll do a shower
yeah.
and a soaking tub. So
Gotcha. Yeah, it's like it's like being creative with how do you bring the Oasis to such a small bathroom in a studio apartment.
yeah,
But it
yeah.
can be done for sure.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, even like some of the design community, they'll run, I mean, you can do a Google search, but like ASID or NKBA will do contests throughout the year. And it's absolutely amazing, some of these designers, what they can, squeeze in. And that's one of the categories is the tiny space.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful what they can do.
No, that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm sure challenging too. So speaking of, we've talked about the trends a little bit. I want to
Mhm.
move towards the
Sure.
performance of
Sure.
products.
Yep.
Speaking of performance, what technological advancements has Florco made year over year to showers and bathtubs? And how have trade pros and homeowners helped inform those specific developments? Have you heard any specific stories?
Absolutely. So one of the largest impacts and technological advances that Fleurco has done is add secure onto their shower doors. And so secure is essentially a transparent plastic film, so that in the rare occasion that something does happen and your glass panel does break, the security film holds the whole door together in small pieces that are attached to the film. So the implementation of this film obviously has brought great benefits to clients. Again, in the rare case that it happens, but it is added security as well, and peace of mind, which means a lot. So it's not detectable by the eye, so the average person wouldn't see it. Really, it's you don't notice it's there until you need it, and so that's something that's important. Even as far as commercial applications or trade professionals, that's something that sets the product apart from other manufacturers, because again, they'll get the call for the repair or the cleanup and all of that. And so that added feature, it's in one piece to take out and take care of. In the field of bathtubs, there's been a continuous development of new techniques related to the fabrication that have really allowed for less constraints in the actual molding. So that's sort of it, that's way behind the scenes. Like nobody knows that's going on. But if you take a tub from 20 years ago to a tub today and just look at everything from the molding and from the seams, it's such an evolution, just smoother. Even with acrylic, you can see that those bathtubs are just about flawless. That is certainly something. I mean, there's so much manual work and expertise involved in the final result of the product. It's a true art form, but it's amazing to see the inroads that they've done with it, to just have more beautiful seamless tubs.
Speaking of tubs, and we've talked about it a little bit already, but how does Florco balance the needs of freestanding tubs versus non-freestanding tubs among like newer and older homes?
So basically, to balance the need for the alcove, so the alcove and then the freestanding tubs, it goes back to that great thing of space. That's
Yeah.
the top consideration. So, space is number one. Your desired aesthetic, accessibility concerns actually come into play with that. Aging in place and that sort of considerations, and if a remodel is feasible as well, moving
Yeah.
drains and all of that fun stuff. Generally speaking, older homes with smaller bathrooms are better suited for the alcove tubs, just by sheer
Yeah.
construction and plumbing. And the newer homes with larger bathrooms obviously can accommodate the freestanding tub. With the different offerings, functionality and accessibility really is something with the homeowner. So, again, it depends on the remodel, how in depth
Yeah.
you're going with that. So, if remodeling isn't an option in those older homes, the alcove tub, Fleurco does offer a particular alcove tub that has larger soaking dimensions. Basically, the walls of the tub are not super thick, and that's
Mm.
something, so that'll give you the feel of more of a, so it's still your standard bathtub, your old school that you remember
Yeah.
type of shower tub combo, but it does have more soaking room. So, and certainly there's other products on the market like that. So even though it is the alcove tub, there's new innovations that have been pushed that you do have more room
Yeah.
to actually get a good soak. And of course, if the design and plumbing works, there's all sorts of the sizes with the freestanding tubs. So it's the
Yeah.
space constraints and plumbing on that one that dictates what you can do.
Yeah. There's a lot of factors that go into being able to do that.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things too, the hybrid approach, you can, again, just depending on your plumbing and space, you can install a freestanding tub with a partially enclosed alcove. That's a whole balance between the design and the space efficiency. So,
Yeah.
again, that's where you need the experts, right?
Yeah.
The design team to really, map out the different options. What's realistic and what you like.
Yeah. Speaking of which, it's not redesigning a bathroom isn't something that homeowners are able to afford too many times, depending on how far you're going to and to the extent of it. How do you account for that potential budgetary range when offering new showers and bathtubs?
Well, and I'll speak with Fleurco products
Yes.
specifically. At every level of the company, we share our expectations of customer. All customers are users of bathroom products,
Yeah.
so it's really reflected in the full commitment on the quality of our product and the dedicated service and support. We understand the product that we bring to the market is intended to bring a positive experience to our customers, and we definitely understand the importance of home. So we don't cut the quality of the products. We look for other ways for the product to fit into a smaller budget. So this is where design and truly wit are at play. So we
Hmm.
evaluate the elements such as the quantity of material and the pieces, along with the ease of making the fabrication to bring down costs while keeping the quality high. So for that reason, in our catalog, you'll find that there are different budgetary ranges, and products are broken up accordingly. So all the products, no matter what the price range, is really important for the company and the resources we've invested and the development and great quality. Again, from any price point or any level. And in terms of the validity of the product design through time, that's a consideration too. We certainly have many models that have a very classical design, so that are in style today. They were in style 10 years ago, and they'll still be in style tomorrow. So that is something to consider. Maybe it's not the hot pink bathtub that you want.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be, you'll look at it in
Yeah.
5 years and say, yeah, no, what was I thinking?
I watched the Barbie movie and all of a sudden I wanted to
I mean, it
get
seems
a
like a
hot
great
pink
idea now,
bathtub.
right? But
But then a year later, it's like, oh, I actually don't even like that movie that much. It was just the marketing at play convinced me to get a hot pink bathtub.
exactly. So that's it
um,
too. So the timeless element,
yeah.
of course.
No, it's great that Florco can still bring so many different products for so many different budget levels. and without compromising quality, because that is a big thing. Is usually if you're getting a cheaper product, you're not going to get as high quality of a product.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing to know that you can still get a high quality product at a lower fraction of the cost. Going back to drains, we did talk about drainage a little bit. With trends like hidden drains coming up, how have you seen drain systems develop, and how has Fleurco embraced that development?
We tend to be on the more conservative side as a company with
Okay.
that stuff. When we first, obviously design teams over in Europe and they go to all the shows and look at new products and see what's coming. And the first element that we consider when we're looking at all that stuff is the compliance with the regional applications and regulations and just to uphold our quality standards. So,
Yeah.
we also look at things that, daily maintenance and repair, accessibility, and that's key just to ensure that the maintenance is not more difficult or limited. So again, just really cautious. There are some designs that we see, especially myself on the sales side. I see it, I love it, let's do it.
Yeah.
But after more evaluation, it's exposed that the product is not necessarily user friendly, and the product that we put out has gone through thorough testing, and just we do business in North America, and to make sure
Yeah.
it's compliant with all the codes and everything. And then it's easy to use. I mean, again, with the drainage piece, it is critical. So if you have
Yeah.
something that looks nice, but it doesn't, you're sitting in an inch of water in your shower every night after you're done, how beautiful is it
Yeah.
really?
Exactly. No, that's also
But
refreshing to know that you're not just Florco's not just pushing a product just because it's trendy or it looks nice. You're pushing it because it's went through thorough investigation, making sure that it's, able to be functional but also still fitting into those styles and trends.
and that's not to be say we're certainly working to innovate. So we
Yeah.
certainly do, but we just validate and want to make sure that the end user it has a great
Yeah.
experience. That's overall. So
Absolutely. Like I said, this is your second time coming on the podcast, and Florco and ProSource has partnered with each other for a long time now. How has Florco's partnership with ProSource evolved over time, and what type of benefits has Florco and its customers enjoyed from partnering with ProSource?
well, it's been a great partnership. So supporting not only ProSource but all the different categories of the business, it's been fun, growing with you, and that's a
Yeah,
big piece of it. ProSource has essentially been a matchmaker for us. I mean, you're linking a team of, I think you guys are at roughly like 145 home improvement showrooms, and allowing us to have a footprint with the Fleurco offering. Absolutely, and always expanding. As you guys expand and support, we expand. We partnered with displays, so there's everything from our entire product offering, from shower doors to bathtubs, in vignettes, which are the actual little, like a mini virtual bathroom in
yeah,
each of the locations, to maybe just a freestanding type of display. So it's really been a benefit for us. We love the concept of the homeowner or contractor coming in and getting their very own project manager with ProSource. Again, all
hmm
the stuff we're talking about, somebody goes in and they've seen online, trying to find what they love, and it might not necessarily work for them. So going into ProSource, you truly have a professional that knows the products and knows the different offerings and can kind of navigate. And the last thing that you want is to have this beautiful remodel, and you've paid all this money, and then something doesn't work right, something doesn't
yeah,
fit, or they can definitely help ahead of time. And we do go in, and with the ProSource team, we train. I think we do online annually, maybe
yeah,
biannually, but local levels, we have a support system of local manufacturer reps, and a sales team from the company that we travel around, and we make sure that the team is up to speed on new products and new launches as they come about. So again, so that ProSource and their team is in front of new trends and technologies, keeping them your expert to go to. So it's
yeah.
been a great, fun partnership, with many years to come, we hope. So
Agreed. That's awesome. Okay, let's look into 2025. We're getting towards the end of 2024 now, which
Yeah.
I feel like last time I had you on, I was asking you what's the rest of 2024 going to look like, and now it's crazy to think we're thinking about next year,
Already.
2025. What is next for showers next in 2025.
We're seeing, and what we're launching is some new hardware finishes. So we touched on
Okay.
that, you're right? The black finishes, the golden tones. Now getting into the glass panel tint. So
Yeah.
colors and patterns. So again, like that fluted glass, the tinted glass. Large screens are increasingly becoming a staple in modern bathroom designs. Just if you're not familiar, so a screen is essentially just a piece of glass, a partition almost, instead of the full door, sliding door, and all of that.
Ah,
So, obviously much more elegant than the shower curtain, but it,
yeah.
just does the service of blocking the spray. And if you add the different patterns and colors, again, matches in with the overall design of the bathroom. So absolutely that. And Fleurco introduced the Sparrow Shield. The focus on that was just a better integration of the space. So instead of a full shower door setup, just the shield or partition, and it's a smoked glass so that it doesn't disappear like a plain glass panel, but it's coordinating with the architectural design and of the space, and almost becomes like an interior window. That is something that's unique. So we'll be launching a few more of those coming out for next year. The wall coverings in the bathroom environment, engineered materials. So that includes the engineered materials for sinks, shower trays, and countertops. So, the marble look, the granite look, but not marble
Yeah.
or granite. So
Yeah.
just kind of, composite blends, resin blends, but again, just unique designs and textures. With all these different factors, it's certainly an art, but they integrate simply without overlapping. So,
Yeah.
you take a piece here and there that works, and just the overall design. That's what we're seeing coming up for the shower side.
Yeah.
So it's super exciting for us. The shield, I think, that's something that is rather new concept and design, but definitely designers are taking on to that.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of adding something a little bold to a space, but nothing that's going to overshadow the rest of the bathroom. And
Yeah.
like you said, layering on different concepts and making it truly customizable seems
Yeah.
like that's kind of the goal with all that. So,
Exactly.
what about bathtubs? What do you guys have planned for bathtubs in 2025?
More color, more
Yes.
color. So lots more color. So overall, the bathtub industry is really pushing to bring more color to bathtubs. Honestly, though, we don't know how many customers will actually join this trend.
Yeah, that one's a tough one.
So it's going back to that pink tub, right? So
Yeah.
the real challenge is for designers to convince homeowners that the bathtubs don't necessarily have to be white. So it's certainly a
Yeah.
challenging but possible task. If you look years ago, 90% of the plumbing and shower door market, and the fixtures and everything were all chrome.
Mm,
So it's taken time. It's taken time, and there's an
yeah.
introduction. So a large portion of the market is really moving toward other options. Matte black tubs are certainly a popular, and the matte black finishes and a brush gold. So little by little, the colors will be more present in the design of bathtubs. Adoption will still be the piece.
Yeah.
Last year, Fleurco launched onto the market solid surface matte black tubs called Lucas and Lucia. Those tubs are the embodiment of asking ourselves the same question you're asking me right now. We wonder how so far the adoption's been great. On those, we've integrated decks that can be used for either the mounting the faucet or a tray. Hold your soap, hold your wine glass, hold something like that.
Yeah.
So a little bit more of the design element, in addition to, a matte black bathtub. So that's, added value. So as far as the direction has been thoroughly researched in the design of acrylic bathtubs, solid surface is a different set of constraints. So that one's a little bit tougher. So that might be more limited on what's coming out. The color, it'll be a fun road. Any
Yeah.
showroom you go into, they'll have those products on display, and that's the beautiful. Like, I love it. but I want white.
Yeah, because I think a lot of homeowners, since they are investing so much money into it, they probably are worried about it not being timeless
Yeah.
because it is so bold, like you said. And not even like, of course, hot pink is very drastic, but I'm even thinking of like the dark green colors that are very
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah.
Even with that, I could see homeowners being just a little worried that in 10 years it's not going to hold up. Like how trendy it is now might not be trendy in
Yeah.
2035.
Yeah, yep, exactly. No, that's it. And I think that, it definitely designers
Time
are
will
going to be
tell.
the key. Yeah, designers are going to be the key on that one.
Yeah,
And we do have you see the trends coming over. And I think the more muted colors, right, will lend a little bit better than
yeah,
the stark designs, the eggshells and the champagne
yeah.
colors and all of that, which, again, going back to those neutrals. At Fleurco, the beginning of each project, design and marketing team reflects on why we're doing this. How are we benefiting the customers with a new product? What element can we offer? And that's why with the Lucas and Lucia tubs with the integrated deck. So that was something that was unique, something that solved a problem.
Yeah.
You might not have known, where to put your soap.
Yeah,
Or your
absolutely.
glass. So that's there. And we're always looking for ways to advance in the industry, with a full product catalog, everything bathroom basically. So, trying to stay in the forefront, but making sure that we've done our homework and research and it's, something needed and something that's functional.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts and expertise with us. Like I said, I appreciate you coming back on again, and congratulations on your promotion. I'm excited to see Fleurco in 2025. These seem like a lot of great ideas, and I'm just ready to see them all come to life. So,
Awesome. Molly, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
yes, have a great rest of your day.
You too. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today on the ProSource podcast. Please like and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. Also, follow us on social media, check out our website at ProSourceWholesale.com, and visit your local ProSource Wholesale showroom for all of your home remodeling needs.